Hey everybody, welcome to O3 Drop. I am Chris, aka Smithel, and as you can see, I am joined by the wonderful and amazing Mara Faris. Mara, thank you once again for coming back on to kind of talk a little bit about a very interesting deck that makes me very uncomfortable as a warrior player. But before we get into that, maybe if people don't know who you are, if you want to give a little bit of a background introduction.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate you having me on again. This is always a blast to sit down and hang out. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Mara Faris. I am a professional artist and I guess professional Flesh and Blood player, which is still a weird thing to tell people. Um, yeah, I mostly kind of made my name on a very redline aggressive Dromai deck uh, that we will see some elements of in the deck we have to feature for today.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because it is one of those decks that I think the first time I saw it, or a version of it being played, so I was watching Josh Lau play it, and I felt like I'm like, oh my god, I was like, this is making me so nervous. I was like, there's not enough blues, there's not enough things to do. I said,
it,
what is happening?
it made
Uh,
Josh real nervous too. I actually, so Josh played it on his stream. I showed Josh this deck when we were in Memphis, and I
mhm.
told Josh I was like, "You're gonna hate this," and he just like flips through the deck and he's like, "I hate this, I hate this, I hate this," and then he started laying it out. And he's like, "Wait, no, this is actually really good."
No, and that's the thing is like it looks like a really cool and interesting deck. That it was one of those things when I saw it, it's like, okay, I got to reach out tomorrow because I want to talk about this. I want to take this approach because I think when most people initially saw Fang, or even today as people are building Fang, everybody is very focused on daggers. I'm going to be pitching blue, swing with a dagger, play a draconic attack reaction, use another resource, swing a dagger again, maybe have a one cost draconic or something like that, or do something along the way with that last resource until I get all my fieldy turned on, and then it's just free and I have blues to block and things like that. However, your deck takes a very different approach, and before we kind of get into it, do you want to give a little bit of background of why you decided to go this route and kind of what your mindset was as you were building it?
Yeah, sure. So, uh, I'll be honest. Like when Fang first came out, I was not interested at all. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of looked at Fang and I was like, okay, this is just going to be another kind of Hatchet's Dory, Kasai, grindy value warrior deck, and that's just for anyone who knows me, like that's just not my playstyle. I tend to like these very fast, very aggressive, very lean kind of decks. Um, and I just didn't even give the deck a second look.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually wasn't even until like probably like when we were really deep into spoilers, and it might have even been after spoilers had been released, after the set had come out, that there was like a conversation in my patron Discord channel, and a couple of people were like making some comments about like, hey, is there any possible way that like Redline Fang could work? And like the consensus was like, no, there's just no way. You can't make it work. Uh, and I am particularly well known for playing Redline and very close to Redline kind of decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, the Dromai deck that I really made my name on was entirely Redline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's just this conversation of playing Redline Fang really kind of got my attention. And
Sure.
everybody was like, no, it's probably not a thing. It's probably just some cute, weird gimmick idea. And it just kind of got my brain going. And I was just like, well, hang on, let's just entertain this for like 2 seconds. Let's actually
Mm-hmm.
like, how would like theoretically, how would a Redline Fang deck function? What would it do? What would it look like? Um, and I started kind of just going through the pieces, and I was like, no, actually, if you can engineer a list that can get online quickly enough, Redline Fang could be a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like that little nugget of thought just kind of lodged in my brain over the next like week or so. I think I started kind of just putting stuff together and brewing, and yeah, and just kind of putting it together. And then I came to Memphis, got all the cards in Memphis, and I was like, you know what, let's. I'd been playing Vincent all for the calling in Memphis, and by the end of like 3 days of playing Vincent, I was like, I need a mental break from this incredibly complicated
Mhm.
deck. I want to hit people in the face. So I broke the deck out, and I was like, this is a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and
So
it's got a lot of potential, I think.
yeah, so I mean, and speaking of kind of like, you kind of wanted to break the deck out and wanted to kind of put it through its paces. You and I spoke a little bit before we started recording, and you did say you brought it to an RTN. How does Fang feel against some of like the other big hitting decks that are currently in the meta?
Uh, so this is still like we're still pretty early in testing. Like I say, I mean, we are
Hmm.
as of time of recording, set's been out for what 2 weeks now.
Upset, yeah,
Uh,
pretty early.
and so there's still a lot of testing still that needs to be done.
Hmm.
That said, overall, like right now, I felt pretty good. I've kind of played at least a couple of games against just about everything big in the field right now.
Hmm.
Um, I feel pretty good into the aggro matchups. You and I were talking a little bit before we started recording. Uh, you have to play kind of an interesting game with a really aggressive aggro decks where you need to play a little bit defensively early while you get set up. And then once you get set up, once you get the fealties online, you are shockingly aggressive.
Okay.
Like you can just like pick any card in this pile. It is probably a 0 for 4.
Hmm.
Like we are running like in a standard 60 cards that we present probably like 54 of them are 4 damage.
Hmm.
So once you get online, you just start drawing hands that are just 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4. And then like sometimes you just get like cards like Hunt's End that are like effectively 6 values,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
Um
Now, let me ask you this: when we're talking about the fieldies, as we're kind of like trying to build them up, how much in a deck like this are you absolutely trying to save those fealty tokens on the board if you have one or two of them? And I ask because I brought this and I was just playing around before an armory, or at least an older version of this, against John, our LGS owner, who was on Rhinar. And, I'm sitting there trying to guard them, trying to, play smart. We get to a point where I go to attack. I have one draconic attack reaction in hand, and I think like another warrior just attack reaction or something else. And he scowling flesh bags me my draconic attack reaction out of hand, and
mhm.
immediately I just lose all of my fealty. Like after that point, because I had nothing I could do, and it just felt so bad. I ended up losing, I think 28-0. But I felt like I was like, was I being too defensive on it to the point I didn't leave enough in my hand in case
Probably.
that happened, or do you sit there and say, okay, early when you have one or two, maybe don't worry about it, just keep building it back up?
Personally, I think keeping that fealty stack and really getting it to that threshold is one of the most important things in the deck, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something to be said about like once you kind of get in on the deck and once you start kind of learning, you'll start to see these positions where you're like, okay, maybe I have a draconic attack right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would normally just throw this, but like I'm just gonna tuck this in Arsenal because I think maybe there's a chance that next turn I might get into trouble. I might have to block more than I want. I am worried about them having a particularly disruptive hand, and then like because you just can keep those draconics kind of tucked in Arsenal, you're just like, okay, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what happens, I can at least preserve my fealty stack. And I think that's going to be
Sure.
something that like as you kind of dig into the deck a little bit more, that's going to be really important is just always kind of keeping that in the back of your mind is how can I efficiently build my fealty and how can I
Okay.
make sure I'm keeping it safe.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. So let's talk maybe like digging into the deck, as you said. As we dig into it, we'll learn a little bit more. So I do have your deck. I know you made a couple changes on it. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of the big swaps and things like that as we go through it, in case people have seen an older version.
mhm.
But let's go through the equipment suite here up top. Want to get your rationale why we're playing what we're playing in the main board, and then maybe some of what the sideboard options are going to be going up against.
Sure, absolutely. Um, a lot of the equipment is very straightforward. Um, because we are a very aggressive red line deck, one of the philosophies I've always had with these very aggressive decks is the less I want to block with the cards in my hand, the more I want to be able to block with my armor. This was something that like I had to bring to people playing like Dash IO.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was big in Dash IO, we saw a lot of Dash players playing stuff like Goliath Gauntlet or some of these like very big aggressive arm pieces. And there was a point in Dash IO where I was running adaptive plating in 2 slots. I was running 2 sets of adaptive plating just because I was like, I just want to block an extra 6.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we take a very similar philosophy here where we have Crown of Providence just being an incredibly powerful blocking tool,
Great
protects,
card.
like protects us from CNCs, helps us fix a hand a little bit because we do have a couple of cards that either early game or late game are not what we want to be seeing in our hand. So Crown
Mm-hmm.
is great for that little extra fixing, but just good piece of armor. We have
Sure.
both Brave Forge Bracers and Flame Scale Furnace. These are
Mm-hmm.
just here to block. Every now and then we get to do some neat tricks where like we can use Flame Scale Furnace to filter our hand a little bit. Helps just a tiny bit in the Jarl matchup where we can do some really neat furnace tricks around frostbites.
Interesting.
Brave Forge Bracers, we will have very occasional uses for the activation, but because we're playing a very, very pitchless deck, those are very rare.
Okay.
Most of my Brave Forge activations involve things like I need to kill my opponent right now, and I have a defense reaction, and getting 1 value right now to push lethal is better than the 0 value on the defense reaction. Or
Okay.
like I uh, played a Proclaim Vengeance against an Arachne, and it gave me 1 resource, and I don't have any use for this resource, so I'm going to just pump into Brave Forge Bracers. But generally speaking, those two, they're just here to block. We just want an extra 6 block value. Dragon's Clear Flight Path, however, is the interesting one. And this is the one I think everybody overlooked this. I think this was my spoiler card. I think I overlooked this card. Like when I first saw this card, like the implications for a deck like Dromai are very obvious. Like
Yeah.
being
Huge.
able to double swing a big dragon are huge.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at it for Fang and Syndra, I didn't see a whole lot. And even like you see the current Syndra decks playing it, and they're just playing it as like it's a Snapdragon Scalers that blocks 1.
Pretty much. Yep.
It gives a go again, and that's it, and that's fine, and it gets a little bit of value. When I first started messing with it in Fang, I was like, I don't know. Like you'll see 95% of the Fang decks are all on Valiant Dynamos because
Mm-hmm.
the Dynamos value. Like again, we talk about like the warrior mindset of this like grindy. I want to play this long, slow game and just like get this incremental value on Valiant Dynamos and that extra 1 block every single turn, and it's really powerful in those decks.
Sure.
We're not one of those decks. We're not looking to drag out this long, slow game. We're especially like because we're redline, we're not even swinging our sword twice very often at all in the early game.
Mm-hmm.
We are just not looking to spend 2 full cards to send 2 swords. If we don't like, it'll happen every now and then, but we really don't want to do it.
Yep.
And then once we're online, we want to end the game. We don't want to like play this grindy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had initially put in the Dragon Scalers just to mess with them. Is like, yeah, it's a little bit better. It blocks 1, and like maybe we can get it go again. When like the early versions of this deck were on a lot more chain enders, we were playing like E-strikes and snatches and things like that. And you could do some
Sure.
cute things with fealty in that. And then I actually played with them, and I think the thing that I didn't appreciate with these, and they actually play into what I think is the actual strength of this deck, and what I think makes this deck probably better than any of the other Fang decks out there. I'm sure I'm going to make some people angry saying that, but I think what this Fang deck does better than any other aggro deck in the game right now, once you hit that 10 or so life threshold, this deck becomes impossible to block.
Yeah.
Because we have a combination of Tooth of the Dragon and Hunt's End.
Mm-hmm.
Tooth of the Dragon being an amazing way to play a react. Like if your opponent overcommits on a block, they'll give you 2 cards to try and preserve life, and then you Fang, and then or you Tooth the Dragon, and then it just basically says, okay, you overblock this. Now I'm going to get my buff on the next attack, which is
Yep.
huge. And then if
Mm-hmm.
they don't commit to the block, then you have Hunt's End, which is this massive like +4/+5,
Yep.
buff where you're sending 6 damage on a single card, and it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. So like already we have this end game that makes it incredibly difficult for our opponent to block us out. And Dragon Scalar Flight Path turns what is already a bad situation into a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, in addition to trying to play around both ends of that spectrum, your opponent has to live in this fear of, if I give you cards to block that dagger, you might just commit no cards, crack the flight path, and then just move the dagger over for another swing. And
Hmm.
it's incredibly
Yep.
powerful.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one question I had is, are you utilizing the flight paths primarily on the weapon, or are you just sitting there early game trying to sit there and say, hey, look, I just have a good opportunity, I got another attack in hand, I'm gonna pop it and just throw, I mean, like, I'll just say Blaze Headlong just because it's on the screen, I see it, like just another 4 for 0 or something like that, just to try to push damage as fast as I can. But it sounds like what you're saying is these are probably more powerful if we hold on to that ability until after we get our fealty, until after we're turned on, and then just threaten when we could potentially see the dagger blocks.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, and
Okay.
don't get, like, there are absolutely, like, sometimes you're just gonna draw a hand that's just a little bit awkward, and you're just like, if I use the dragon scalers, this hand is just significantly better. And like, sometimes you can just use it like Syndra uses it, where it's just like, it's a snapdragons that blocks one, and
Okay.
like, sometimes that's fine. But if you can hold it to that end game, the lines that the dragon scaler opens up, and just the sheer amount of nightmare that your opponent has to try to block around, are just
Hmm.
so powerful.
Interesting.
And I do generally, if I'm able, I really want to try and hold it for that end game.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's not something I considered, was the whole, well, we just use it to move the dagger reaction.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
know,
you're a warrior player. It's twinning blade with go again.
yeah,
It
and you know
is.
what, that's a great way to explain it,
It's
because
100%
I
what it
never
is.
thought of that.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
it is an onboard twinning blade with built-in go again. It's
See, okay,
incredibly
see,
good.
see that I can get that,
Yeah.
like that. We got to click there. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the core deck, and what you would consider your main, or your core cards, or your main cards that you
Hmm.
look at. I mean, I know personally one of my favorite cards in Fang is just Pledge Fealty. The amount
Hmm.
of people that sit there and just say, like, do you play like Pledge Fealty in Fang? And I'm like, oh my god, yes, I love it. Just being able to sit there and say, you're not blocking my one, and I play this, and you're already marked, and I just get 2 Fealty off of it. Love it. It is like, what would you consider the core or the best cards in kind of our core 57 here?
So yeah, I do think, like, Pledge Fealty, I have like a little bit of a love hate with, because it is one of those cards that, like, when you draw it, like, once you're already online, it feels a little
Yeah.
mediocre. But Pledge Fealty is just so good for getting online quickly that,
Hmm.
like, we definitely can't get rid of it. Like, the number of times where, like, like, I literally had I had a game against a Jarl this weekend, who just spent his whole game, he's like, block you out, block you out, block you out. And I had sat on like one fealty forever, and he's like, I'm gonna keep you off fealty the whole game. And I just look at him and I just go, pledge fealty, pledge fealty. Okay, I'm online.
Yeah.
Good job, you tried.
That's great. Love it. Love it.
So yeah, I think pledge fealty just has to be a part of the deck.
Hmm.
It's excellent. The Proclaim Vengeance is kind of a fourth copy of Pledge Fealty.
Hmm.
I have been very all over the spectrum on this one.
Hmm.
I've run 0 copies. I've run 6 copies.
Okay.
I think the correct number will probably fall between 1 and 2, because, like I said,
Okay.
they're basically are just like extra copies of Pledge Fealty. They're
Yep.
just these ways of like getting an instant mark and then just like converting that into uh, the extra fealty.
Yeah.
Plus, it does get a couple of extra upsides with stuff like Saber Bloodshed, where you
Hmm.
can kind of instant speed mark somebody.
Hmm.
But is another one where, like, if we run too many copies of this effect between Pledge and Proclaim,
Hmm.
you will find like endgame scenarios where you're just sort of choked on too many of these, like, no blocks that don't really have a powerful effect other than just kind of giving our sword go again.
Yeah.
So like,
Now,
we don't want too many, but it's important to have
yeah.
somehow.
Now, do you like Saber Bloodshed to play even if your opponent's not marked and you don't have a mark ability in hand? Do you still like it just for that early game buff to threaten the damage, or is this something that you would say, I'm going to be pitching it to pay for a dagger early and hopefully see it later?
It's a little contextual. Kind of depends on the matchups and depends on how quickly I think I can get online.
Okay.
Um, like, if I'm sitting with a Saber Bloodshed in hand, and I've got both a Scar Tissue and a Pursue the Ends of Oblivion, where I've got like
Hmm.
multiple ways that I think I can get a mark off,
Hmm.
and like can probably end my turn on a mark, then like I'm much more likely to be like, okay, now I'm gonna arsenal this and just wait for next turn, because I think I'll be able to have that mark at the end of my turn.
Okay.
and then we can set it up. Like it's obviously like if we can get it to where we can threaten the card draw, it's much more powerful.
Okay.
But again, it's a little contextual. Like I wouldn't sit and just hold it for like 15 turns while
Mhm.
I'm just like scraping to try and find a mark.
No,
Um,
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about I think what makes this deck really interesting and the thing that kind of drew me to it and had me asking a lot of questions. We are running what 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 attacks in our main board. Or no, 15,
it should be more than
18
that,
attack. Yeah, 15, 18 attacks in our main board. That I, if
yeah.
I'm counting right here.
At
1,
least
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's 7 times 3? Oh god, bad. 21. So I
I was about to say,
missed
I was like,
3.
I think it
Yeah,
was, I think it was
yes,
more than that.
yes, 21. So I mean, yeah, like that's a lot if you're not Bolton. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even then, you're like, that's kind of maybe a lot. So what are we generally looking for in the early game and late game from these attacks as opposed to maybe our dagger plan?
So it's kind of like I mentioned. When we're not online, we don't want to be swinging daggers very often. Um, pitching a full card to swing a dagger is pretty miserable on our rate.
Mm-hmm.
So like we will send like we are willing to pitch one card for a dagger if we can get a mark out of it or a fealty out of it. It's why we have like 5 copies of Scar Tissue.
Okay,
Where like Scar Tissue doesn't care so much about the chain links. It's just a good, I can pitch for one dagger, get a +3 on that dagger, get a mark, and like kind of move on with my life.
sure.
Um, the only ones that we really have that care about needing both daggers are Affirm Loyalty and Searing Gaze.
Yes.
Um, and I'll be honest, I hate Searing Gaze. I hate Searing Gaze with a
Yeah,
passion.
I'm in a very similar boat. It's just like I don't really love having to get to the second dagger or second draconic link and then have to hit the mark. Which I mean, I will say I like this deck because I could do something like hunt to the ends of race, swing a dagger, searing gaze, and
That
then get
is
to it.
that is the reason that it has stayed in the
Yeah,
deck is because we
yeah,
have just enough draconic attack actions in the deck. We have 12 actual just like draconic attack actions with go again. So it's like a
sure.
pretty reasonable amount, enough that we can send an attack, send one dagger, get the searing gaze, and it's fine.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have that and affirm loyalty is the one that I'm like, because we just get a full loyalty out of it, like a full fealty out of it,
Yeah,
we can kind of justify if we have to send pitch 2 cards for it, we can. But even affirm loyalty, we really don't want to unless we absolutely have to. But even like there are several matchups where I will just take the searing gazes out entirely.
okay.
And like if we're able to bring in stuff like Den of the Spider or Cut from the Same Cloth
Hmm.
to help fulfill those, like we need to get our marks online as quickly as possible, searing gaze
Sure.
tends to come out in a lot of those matchups.
Sure. So while we're talking about kind of things that we're taking out and bringing in, we've got a 17 card inventory here. We got Tunic and Kabuto.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start with kind of the equipment and what we're thinking about for each, and then go into maybe some of the main deck cards?
Sure. I actually think this deck, like of all the decks that I'm in, and it's partially because this deck is relatively new, but the
Hmm.
sideboarding for this deck tends to be very straightforward. Like you said, we have a 57 card core. Um, most of those 57 cards are in almost every matchup.
Hmm.
Um, there's a couple of matchups where we'll take one play set of cards out to bring in 2 things from our sideboard, but that's
Hmm.
pretty rare.
Okay.
Most of our main deck is going to be in just about every matchup.
Okay.
Um,
And are you running generally like a clean 60 in most matchups, or are you maybe going a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending upon certain things?
I've been running 16 just about everything. The only one that's kind of the exception is Loyalty Beyond the Grave. I find is really good in the very fatigue heavy matchups, the
Hmm.
ones where we know this game is going to go really long.
Yes.
So in most of those matchups, I will present 63, and the loyalties are just like the 61st through 63rd card.
Makes
63rd
sense.
card.
That makes a lot
Um,
of sense.
yeah, like I said, we talked about the equipment. Kabuto is pretty straightforward. If we have decks that are looking to use their weapon a lot, we can get a little bit of extra value in Kabuto. It's just like we're not trying to be really tricksy with it. We're not trying to do anything really disruptive with it. It's purely, we talked about how we just want to use our armor to preserve our life total. So
Sure.
like we just want to have Kabuto. Like I'll bring it in against Viscerai, where like he'll play his turn and he'll send that last go again and have a resource floating and an action point. And I'm like, okay, obviously you're just gonna send sword. I'm gonna block Kabuto and just effectively get 5 block on my armor.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in matchups like Enigma. Where you're like, oh, you have 3 wards. I'm just gonna block, preserve a bunch of life. I'm gonna stop you from just sending these. You can do some particularly neat things against like the other warriors and get
Mm-hmm.
some extra value. But for the most part, we're just looking to utilize Kabuto to just gain as much life as possible to give us time for that setup.
Okay.
Tunic is kind of it's really mostly just for like these like blocky grindy matchups who are going to try and keep us off our fealty as long as possible. um, if we expect that we're going to have at least 6 turns before we can get online, then like having those tunics to be able to just like, okay, I'm going to send sword a couple of times, because each sword swing when we're not online costs a full card. So then
Mm-hmm.
every Fyendel's Ring tunic is effectively every 3 turns draw a card,
Okay.
which for us is really powerful.
Yes.
Um, so we would just want to have that extra resource just in those matchups where we think we're going to have a hard time getting online. It just helps just a little bit with that card economy.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
the other sideboard cards, cut from the same cloth, pretty straightforward. If they have attack reactions, we're bringing it in. It is an incredibly powerful card. Cut from the same cloth is like very close to just being in the main deck. I think if this card was a 3-block, I would just put it in every matchup.
Yeah.
Being
So
able to look at your opponent's hand is just such a powerful effect.
knowledge is great. Knowledge
Mm.
is great. Then
Yeah,
the
just
spider.
um, kind of the same thing. It's relatively self-explanatory. We really want to just maximize the number of ways we have to mark our opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Something you'll see in this deck versus some of the other slower Fang matchups, or so slower Fang decks, is we have a lot of mark. If it says
Mm-hmm.
mark on it and it costs 0, it is probably in our deck somewhere.
Okay.
Um, we because we even need, not only do we just want to get to 3 fealty for turning on Fang, we have cards in our deck. We have quite a few cards in our deck that rely on either having our target be marked or having created a fealty for the turn to get some of our go agains. We have like Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, we have Savor Bloodshed, we have these kind of cards. So we need to make sure that we are keeping those marks rolling even after we've gotten online.
Okay.
So cards like Den of the Spider are fantastic to just like have an extra tool to just kind of guarantee we can get at mark. Plus something that I kind of talked with you a little bit earlier before we started. In some of the aggressive matchups, some of the aggro races,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just trying to race these very fast decks, because we are very aggressive and very powerful once we're online, but like that first turn or two, we can be a little slow.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, most definitely.
I have found that I really prefer in those matchups to play the early game a little bit slower, bring in these extra defense reactions. Like this is where we have the Shelter from the Storms, and we have Den of the Spider, where we can bring in a few more defense reactions. We can maybe cut like the Searing Gaze, which is a 2-block, bring in some 3 and 4 blocks, play a little bit more defensively, and we can lean a little bit on both Den of the Spider and Smokeout
Mm-hmm.
to get our marks in a more defensive fashion to where we don't have to be committing so many resources to just trying to get online. Like I love, like one of my favorite plays playing against like the aggressive decks is I'll just draw a hand, block with 3 cards just to like keep a Cinder off of a Mask, or maybe keep
Mm-hmm.
Aurora off of a Burn Up or off of a CLV. Give them 3 cards and some armor, get either a Den of the Spider or a Smoke Out just to get that mark, and then
Mm-hmm.
just send a 1 card like for the Drakai, which gives me an instant fealty and then also threatens to trigger that mark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that gets us 2 fealty very quickly on a single card, while we spent the rest of our turn just being very defensive. Um, and then we don't have to really worry about the drawbacks of our deck being particularly slow before we get our marks, because we're just playing defensively. We're not actually like really playing into the weakness of our early game. And then once we can get to that 3rd fealty, then we get to suddenly like flip the script, hit the gas, no brakes. Now we're just gonna race you, and all of our cards are probably better.
Yep. Yeah. No. I'm no. This is, I think, one that's kind of interesting. And whenever I saw it, it made me laugh because when I was talking about Fang with our good buddy Wyatt here, I was like, I'm thinking about putting some yellows and stuff. He goes, put in Tenacity. He goes, there's too many players in this game that haven't been wrecked by Tenacity, and it shows. and,
Yeah.
and and I mean, so what was the thought process here? I mean, Was it
Yeah,
just, hey, I need something for whenever people are going to be blocking a lot and potentially trying to stop me, or?
yeah. Shout out to Wyatt because that it is Tenacity is one of my favorite cards in this deck.
Mhm.
Um, it is so it's obviously a sideboard card, but it comes in all of the blocky, grindier matchups
Okay.
because there are two things that happen in the blocky, grindy matchups. One is you get to two fealty and a mark, and their brains turn off.
Hmm.
As soon as you're at two fealty and a mark, the defensive decks go all in defensive. They want to do everything they can to keep you off of that third fealty because they know once you get that third fealty, you go crazy.
Yes.
So you will have these turns where you have two marks or two fealties and a mark, and you're just like attack, and they're like block armor. You're like attack, they're like block armor. You're like attack, they're like block armor, and then you're like tenacity for 8. uh,
It's pretty
um,
great.
yeah, and it is just one of the best ways to punch through to get that last fealty online when
Hmm.
they're just like in full blockout mode.
Okay.
And then it also comes up when you get into that end game. We talked about how hard that Fang end game is to predict and how
Hmm.
hard it is to successfully block. And Tenacity suddenly adds just another layer on top of that, where they're already trying to play around Hunsen, they're trying to play around the boots, they're trying to play around, Tooth of the Dragon, and they're just trying to figure out the best, most efficient ways to block, and they're just blocking everything, whether they need to block it or not. And then you just slam a Tenacity at the end of that chain for just huge numbers.
Hmm.
Um, and it just the combination of all of these things that make their blocking pattern hard is just beautiful in the end game, and it makes your end game so clean and so easy to close once you can kind of get to those last couple of life points.
Yep. I mean, it all sounds good, and it all, definitely is super interesting. So I guess what I'd like to do, if you're good with it and we got some time, is maybe hop on over to Talishar. We'll get into a match, and then kind of let me just be your hands and walk us through some of the play patterns, what you're seeing, how you would approach certain situations, what makes a good hand versus a bad hand, some things that you're going to want to block out versus when you're going to want to attack, and just kind of pilot this deck for us, if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and do it. Hopefully, so I should have this pretty queued up here. We'll just, I don't want to do Olympia. That's kind of weird.
Let's not play Big Axe CYB.
Yeah, no.
That's
Yeah, let's do this. This one
that's
looks better.
that's
Oh
a
no. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it the good old way and just post up and see what we get. Da, 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 public create game. Okay. So we'll see kind of who jumps in here. I imagine. No, it's gonna be Olympia.
oh, this will be fun. All right.
Okay. I,
So I typically like going first.
okay.
There's like a little bit of debate I've been having, but usually I think if we can go first and kind of get online. His name is Volcor will fall. Oh no. Oh. Oh, you have no
It's a
idea.
personal attack team,
Oh,
Mar.
now we're in. All right. So we're gonna bring in the Kabuto because we got some warrior,
Yep,
and
makes
that's just a
sense.
good thing. And then all the equipment looks pretty much fine.
Okay.
We're
Now, do we
we're
do we assume if it's Big X that you would do a tunic here, or do we think it's going to be the hatchet or the going to be just buying back equipment all day kind of plan?
I think I'm gonna lean to just hedge and bring in the furnace, just like
Sure,
it's kind of our standard.
sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
Man, it's been a while since I've played against an Olympia. I'm not gonna lie. Let's say, all right. So we're gonna do the cut from the same cloths for sure, because
Okay.
I think right. Olympia tends to play a bunch of attack reactions. That seems pretty
Yeah.
safe. Um, and then let's bring in the Den of the Spiders. I think that
Sure.
seems pretty good. Um, and then let's take out the Searing Gaze. Let's just run a clean 60.
Seeing is 1, 2, 3. You got
Oh
it.
no, actually no, I'm sorry. Cut the smoke out. I don't think Olympia tends to not play a lot of attack actions, right?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Leave the Searing Gaze, cut the smoke outs,
Smoke
because the smoke
outs.
outs probably won't trigger.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's
All right.
let's see how it goes. It is the Big X Olympia. Luckily, they're also only running a clean 60 though, so
All right.
hopefully it's not CYB here.
All right.
Okay, so looks like we're on the play.
All right. So we don't have any marks on. Oh, we have the cut from the same cloth, so we can get. Yeah, Yeah, we'll see. We'll take a mark. We'll play a cut from the same cloth.
Okay. Yeah. We'll
See
assume
what we're
we're not
working
going to be
with.
playing Tooth of the Dragon instant. This is always the
Wait.
downside of when you're playing Fang is you got to wait for everybody to read.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and this is one of those things too that I always, worry about is as like as I'm playing these kind of things, I'm trying to wonder what it is. Do you ever find yourself in situations where you're wanting to do like I'm just going to set up on turn 0 and not not do anything aggressive? Like would there be an instance like this where you're like, okay, I'm just going to do the cut from the same cloth. If I get the mark, I get the mark. Maybe, if there's nothing or if I don't see anything that I like,
Oh,
I just sit there and end from
I
there.
think there's a very high chance because we don't have any really strong reactions in our hand,
Mm-hmm.
to where we're like, so if he just shows us a hand of like just 2 blocks, we can just go, cut into twist and turn into, send a dagger for 9. But like,
Yep.
I can't imagine he's going to show us a bunch of 2 blocks. So the odds that we're going to actually push damage here is actually pretty low.
Okay.
Um, so we are very likely here to just take our mark, look at his hand, and then I'm actually probably gonna activate Flamescale Furnace because we played a red. We get the privilege of filtering without actually needing to swing.
Okay.
So we can probably we can probably discard the Twist and Turn, since Twist and Turn right now doesn't make a fealty, it doesn't really mark, it's just kind of a value card.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're pretty happy to just chuck it and then arsenal one of our other 2 cards and then drop a new hand and try and see how quickly we can kind of get online.
That makes sense. I'm also going to make the assumption I think they probably dropped or something
Uh,
happened here because
does certainly seem that way.
yeah, we're gonna click Victor. We're gonna do this again. Let's go back to the
All
main
right,
menu.
all right, good game. We tried.
I mean,
But
we
it does give you a little bit of insight into like what we're looking to do on that first turn. We're very happy there to just, we're gonna take our mark, set up our turn, and then pass off.
yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot to be said. I mean, and I think that's kind of always been one of the things I struggled with whenever I've just been kind of trying to pilot this deck myself, is that I am struggling with the mark generation. Knowing when to play it, what to hit, what's going on. It's been kind of hit and miss for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any recommendations as to the best way to kind of assume that's going to happen?
I think a lot of it's just very contextual. All right,
Okay.
so we got a Jarl. This is going to be a very interesting matchup.
Uh, what would you
So
like,
yeah,
Mar?
same thing. We're going to go first.
Okay.
We're just going to try and take that first turn, get as much setup as we can.
Sure.
We are going to run the Tunic in this matchup.
Yep.
That little extra bit of resource generation is going to help us a lot.
That helps.
We are going to run 63 in this matchup. So
Okay.
we're going to be bringing in the Loyalty Beyond the Graves.
Okay.
And we're going to bring in the Tenacities.
And the Tenacities. You got it. Okay. Anything else?
I think everything else is good. We're gold.
We'll do it.
Yeah, actually, like most of the sideboarding, this is pretty easy. It's pretty much add the card that fits the matchup best. If it's a fatigue matchup, also add the loyalties. If it's a matchup that you need to bring in 2 cards, you're probably just going to cut the Searing Gaze or the defense reaction that might not add. This is a beautiful start. We are ecstatic to see this hand.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I know what you're going to be saying to do, but let's I'll let you go for it.
I think you're probably not too far off. I think we are happy to go pledge fealty, pass.
Yes.
Yeah. No, like I say, this is one where like we don't really have a need to attack here. We can just get our 2 marks. We can arsenal the smoke out so that even if he throws something dominated on the first turn, we can cover a little bit.
Okay. So it looks like we got the CYB coming out of the Jarl. We'll pass this again. And Arsenal Smoke Out, you said?
Yeah.
You got it.
Gives us like just in case he decides that he wants to throw a dominated attack or anything, we're covered a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like these are the hands that like I start getting in. Like I've always kind of struggled with it. So I got like, okay, I got smoke out here, then
Hmm.
three not or two non-draconics, and then one.
Hmm.
So it's like I already know I got to use one to pitch, I assume, and then at least do that to go.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we're fine here. Just like we'll play the smoke out just to kind of
okay,
get a little bit of moving. He's clearly just not looking to do anything here.
sure. Smoke out.
Oh, play the one from Arsenal.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because we want to be able to pitch the other one if we need to. So you
Yep,
always
that
want to
makes
play the
sense.
one from Arsenal just in
No,
case.
that would be the right call.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm actually very likely to be pitching since he's willing to show us that he's going to just put 3 cards in the graveyard just to send a hammer. I
Sure.
think we're going to assume that he is looking for a very heavy fatigue plan. He's not looking to do a whole lot of
Yeah.
actual.
Uh,
Um,
so is this where we're going to be pitching that smoke up?
yeah, I think this is a reasonable place to pitch the smoke out.
Okay.
You should probably play the twist and turn first, though.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. This is why you're here, Mar.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll pitch the smoke out, and then we're gonna send a dagger.
Now, is there ever a world where you're playing both of these to try to get the mark anyway out of it?
Oh, absolutely. Like
Okay.
I say, we want to just be able to get that 3rd mark as soon as we can, and we really
Okay.
don't like sending 2 daggers if we can help it.
Okay.
So I want to see how he blocks. If he's gonna block in a way that we can get away with just playing the long whisker to get a mark, then we're very happy there.
Okay.
If not, we can play both. So like we'll lead on the long whisker,
Okay. And mark.
and we'll take it. We'll take the gamble and see if we can just get by on the mark. He probably has a defense reaction, and if he does,
Okay.
then we'll just play the smoke out as well.
Okay. Okay. So we got the mark coming. Hopefully. I assume the dagger that we're swinging.
I hope so. I can never tell.
I know. I wish there was a way like they had L or R or something like that. So we're getting more cover. And
So
so now we're
now
going to
we're going
scar.
to just play our other
Okay.
and
Now
see
let's
if
see
we
if
can push it through.
get it. See if we get another D react out of this.
He may have another one. We'll see. Maybe.
Maybe the flexors. Is he got? Would he really?
If he wants the flexors here, I think we're
I would
very
say
happy to just take the flexors for 2. We're very happy to just take that.
Oh, another one. Okay.
All right, that's fine. We're
Yeah.
kind of expecting this. Not a
Yeah.
big deal.
2 shelters for the storm on that. I'm not crying about that. Okay. So we got a Titan's Fist coming in. 2 of the loyalties, Blazing, and a Tooth of the Dragon.
This is like a slightly weird hand. Actually, no. We've got Tunic coming. This is actually kind of an ideal where we really are happy to have this Tunic.
Okay.
Because we can just take this, and then we can just send Oath into Sword into Blazing, and still get that Tooth buff. We're not
that sounds pretty
really.
good.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of mark pressure here, but this is just a good solid damage turn.
Sure.
This is just a 3-card. This is gonna be a 3-card 13, and then we get to Arsenal a second Oath and set up a big 5-card hand coming up on our next turn.
Sure.
So I think we are pretty ecstatic with this.
Okay, so got our Oath. Yeah, this is the other thing too. Is like whenever I see this, I think there's a lot of times where I make the mistake where I just go, "Well, I'm just going to block with the Oath," and then instead of prioritizing an Arsenal or something like that.
Yeah, especially in these fatigue matchups, you always want to be looking for windows where you can set up these 5-card hands.
So you said Tunic Dagger?
Yep. So we've got Tunic, we've got the Dagger, and then we have the Tooth. And one of the other nice things about having a lot of attack actions is that Tooth is just going to buff our Blaze Headlong. So we're going to get him to commit a card or 2 here. Just take a card for blocking this nothing attack. And then we are happy to just send 7.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like Tooth a lot whenever it's just next Draconic, because this is real fun. I think whenever you had E-Strikes in the deck, there was one time I had extra fieldy late game, and I just turned an E-Strike into it, and I played Tooth onto a Draconic E-Strike. It was a lot of fun.
That's pretty
And
neat.
we arsenal out the oath.
Yep.
Oh
And this.
no. 2, 4, 5. It's
All
gonna
right.
hit.
So here is a lesson that I have learned. Don't care.
Okay.
Your armor. This is actually a mistake that I made in a lot of my early Jarl games. Was trying to cover these big Oakenolds and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing so little damage to us that like even the big Oakenolds just probably won't matter that much.
Okay.
We are content to say no. So, and again, this is also talking about where we want to make sure those Draconics are in Arsenal. We know
Sure.
the worst that can happen here is he takes both our Draconics and we still can preserve our fealty
That
stack.
that's real good. Okay.
So yeah,
we'll,
I think we're gonna say no blocks, see what he
Yeah.
takes, and then send back.
So pursue, blaze headlong.
Yeah, we'll put the blaze first just to keep it up.
Okay.
Should be pretty fine either way.
Okay.
So now this actually works out pretty ideal where we're going to get to go oath into affirm loyalty with the yellow pitch. This actually works out.
Nice.
This is literally perfect. This gets
That's
us
not
online. Yeah. And now we will be online and we'll be very happy.
Okay. Got a sync. Dagger with the scar. That's fine. Then pitch the resource from the tunic, I assume. Nope. Pitch in fruits of the forest. Firm loyalty.
So he's probably going to CYB here, I assume. And then we will also be able to just send our second dagger here for 1 now that we're online. If that one did that hit?
Would this been an instant?
I was gonna say, did that actually hit? It did, right? If it hit, you can bracers.
I think so.
Yeah, we can bracers.
Okay.
Just little bits of free
like,
extra value. Yep.
I was about to say, I assume this would be, even though I guess Jarl's probably going to block it. Yeah, but
that's okay. We still get a point of value here.
Yeah, I gotta get the tunic. There he goes.
Yeah, we'll take his tunic. It's like I said, this was literally free for us.
Yep. I've also found, like, personally too, that I have been so afraid to keep my fealties that I just throw my armor away a little too early, probably with Fang. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to risk getting rid of a Draconic or losing something. And so I throw the armor out the door way too fast.
So this is actually, we were talking earlier about the Saver Bloodsheds, about trying to find these spots where you can set up these bigger hands. So like, I am probably looking to see if I can end this turn on the mark with the Searing Gaze and Saver. We actually might not send our second dagger here. We might just go Rabble into Searing Gaze plus Scar Tissue and then just pass with the mark.
Okay.
We'll see how he does. I want to see how he blocks this. So we're going to go Rabble into Sword plus Searing Gaze and see what he does. We can either send the second dagger and Scar Tissue, or we can just Scar Tissue on the first dagger.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, would it make sense to Ravel, Dagger 1, Searing Gaze, Fire Vein, Scar?
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, we're gonna Ravel first. We're gonna Searing Gaze on the first dagger, and then see like if we think if he's gonna like just see how he blocks first, and then we'll probably send the second dagger with the Scar. But it's possible where we just really want to make sure we get that mark that we could just see Scar on the first dagger.
Yep. And now the danger is we do have the -1 counter on the tunic for potentials later. So okay. So we got Channel Might Aslan on the block, Searing Gaze, Scar Tissue available to us. Do we
think? So he's giving us
this,
one.
This would give us a 3 total. We'd go to 4.
Let's play the Searing Gaze first, for sure. I think I want to... So this puts us to 7. Seven gets covered a little easily by a second D-React. I think I want to pass and just see if he reacts.
Okay.
If
Nope.
he has the D-React, he's going to cover it either way. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll send the second one. Yeah, send the second one.
Okay.
And then we'll see. Because then this way, if he gives us a card, then he's less incentivized to give us the D-React. But if he has the D-React, he covers it either way.
Nope. Takes it all. Gets marked.
Nice. We're happy to
Arsenal at
Arsenal.
the saver.
Something I find too is they always feel like they're less aggressively blocking the marks once we get our third fealty, which is kind of good for us because we really want to hit that that fealty as much as we can.
No, that makes sense. So we got a felling coming in.
This felling actually great for us because we have this tenacity in our hand, and I kind of want to put this tenacity on the bottom. I think. Let me think about this just a half second.
Tenacity, loyalty, hunts, form loyalty.
Yeah, I think I really like the tenacities in the late game. So I think I'm okay just putting this tenacity on the bottom.
Okay. 8 we got to deal with. We got Saver and Arsenal.
So we're going to give him this loyalty. We're going to give him the loyalty because we just want those in our graveyard for sure. Sure. I don't think we're too worried otherwise.
Okay. Okay, back to us.
So we have a little bit of a question here, and that's whether or not we want to commit the Saver Bloodshed. Just because the Saber Bloodshed just sets up a really powerful turn. But because he did have the disruption here, this turn is going to be a little weak either way.
So I mean,
I
we'll
think
still get the 4 on the hunts.
Yeah, I think I'm slightly inclined to just send Hunt into Loyalty into Sword and see if we can save the Saber Bloodshed for another turn.
Okay.
We'll probably lose our mark, although he's so inclined to blocking us out, we may be able to keep our mark. And that would be a kind of a nice...
Okay, so Mangle going to be coming in next turn.
Okay, actually, now we're going to play the Saver.
Okay.
Because now we just want to strip his hand. So now we're just happy to play the Saver Bloodshed. He was nice enough to keep the mark. And now we're going to take his whole hand. Because we definitely want to try to avoid that Mangle if we can.
Yeah. Losing the Tunic right now would feel real sad.
Yeah.
Affirm loyalty.
And, yeah, we're just happy to play the Affirm.
There's the sink. Okay, so Mangle of Tunic, so it's blue. Is probably in hand.
Well, so we're gonna send the other dagger. And we're going to at least take... Oh, he's going to let us have the hit. Okay.
Tenacity on the back end.
That's okay. We'll take a free tenacity off of this.
Arsenal that. No longer marked. Mangle. Here comes the Tunic. Pitching the blue.
Yeah, so this at least won't be dominated, so we can just block this out. Let's see, what do we got?
Good. Tenacity in hand, Scar Tissue, March, Tooth of Dragon. Kind of a weird one.
This isn't too bad. March is 3 block, right?
March is 3 block.
Yeah. So we can probably just give him March and Tenacity and be happy with this. I think there's no like pummel threat here. There's no nothing. And then we still just get to go Tooth into Scar.
That works.
Yeah. I think we're okay with this. That wasn't too bad.
No, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're still doing all right.
Down about 5 cards or so. Here comes Rampart. Okay, Tooth.
And we're just happy to Tooth.
And do we assume we don't Scar here, threatening the mark, right? We want to on the next one?
I think we want to put it on the next one. If we always have the option of ending our turn with a mark, that's really where we're going to be, so that we can set up if we draw things like the Hunt and the Wraith, or if we find another Saver Bloodshed.
Makes a lot of sense. And bam.
So yeah, we're just going to push a little bit of damage, try and get that mark over.
Got it.
We'll get a mark. And then if we can get a Savor Bloodshed with this Tenacity that's in our arsenal, we can set up a really cool turn.
Ooh, CYB played on their side.
Yeah, that's all right.
And just a Titan's Fist. Okay, so
I
coming in
think
for
we're-
4, Hunt's End, Pursue Edge of Oblivion, Scar Tissue, Pledge Fealty, Tenacity.
Yeah, I think we're pretty happy with this hand. I don't think we're concerned about this hammer too much.
Take it.
Yeah, I think so.
You got it.
Yeah, we have a turn set up here where we can actually push a little bit of damage.
Sure.
And
Walk
then we
me
kinda
through
could.
it.
All right, so we're gonna open just on both daggers. We can kind
Okay.
of see how he blocks on our reacts, and we're just kind of
Okay.
looking to push as much damage as we can.
Sure.
And then we get our choice of chain enders here. We have both the Tenacity and the Pursue. So if he blocks really heavily, then we get to Tenacity. If he doesn't want to block a lot, then we just play the Pursue.
Sure. So do we
He's only given us one. He's
One,
probably got a defense reaction. Let's say we'll just open with the Hunt's End.
Okay.
Let's just make him give it to us.
Sure.
And then maybe we just catch him without a bunch of reacts, and then we can push a lot of damage here.
Okay, Shelter from the Storm. 5.
He's covering 5. Let's... Do we want to play the Scar Tissue here or later? I don't think it matters. Let's...
I mean, we
So
hit now. We swing again, potentially hit again, mark again, go into a Pursue, potentially mark again.
Yeah, sure. Let's see if we can bait him into this Tenacity line. Let's give him the Scar Tissue.
Okay. Oh. Crap. Sorry, I missed it.
That's fine. So we can play in the second line. It doesn't really matter too much either way. So he gave us what, 3 cards on that last one?
Or
was it 2?
Let's see. Rampart.
Just Rampart
Shelter.
and okay, so he's giving us 2.
Okay.
So let's see how much he wants to block.
Do Scar Tissue, Pledge Fealty here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bring it up to 5.
No blocks.
Gives us the mark again.
All right. Well, so
Okay, there we go.
So if he's not looking to block, we're just happy to play the Pursue, save our Tenacity for next turn.
That makes sense.
We're just
Play
pushing
the
a little bit more
CYB.
damage.
Taking the 4 here. Mark, remark. Double loyalties, March loyalty, and then Tooth.
Not my favorite
will
hand, but that's okay.
Yeah, this will be the second loyalty if we throw it.
Yeah. I think I may actually just give him both loyalties here. He's not attacking a whole lot, and I just kind of want to get these out of my deck. So I may just give him both, and we'll take a small turn here. Where we can probably just go sword into March into sword. We're not using this turn.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah, we want to save that for a 5-card hand. We want to set up a 6-card hand where we can push a lot of damage.
Okay. That sounds good.
Ideally, if we can set it up on a turn where we've got the Savor Bloodshed and the Tenacity, and we can send a 6-card hand, we can push a lot.
Okay.
So here, we're just fine with just
Tooth.
playing the Tooth.
Into March. Ooh, taking the 7. There's the sink.
Nah, he's definitely got. He's just bringing all the defense reactions. He is just looking to zero sum fun here, and then we'll just.
And then
be
he
happy
said,
taking
"We want
the
a sword."
Yeah, it's
You
free
got it.
damage. There's actually what we could tunic the sword here just to get a point. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, here comes the tunic. CNC. So coming for our Tenacity.
CNC. Why does he gotta have the spoils? Man, this was a fun hand too.
I mean, we do have Crown available to us.
No, we're not crowning. I don't think.
Uh,
And like he has played very few ice cards, so like we could gamble on it, but I don't think I want to. I think I found in
okay.
this matchup that like giving them the crown always just feels pretty bad. Although, take a peek at his graveyard. How many ice cards have we actually seen? We've really not seen hardly any, have we?
One frozen, one crumble. Not a ton there. We got a Channel Mount Eisen and Banish, and that's it. So it looks
Not a
like
lot.
3 so far.
Hmm. It's very tempting, but I think we should probably play this safe. We're not in any real danger just yet.
And we got Bracers, Flight Scale, Oath, or I
Man,
mean,
why
we
does
don't
he have
have
to
a
do that on
mark.
this
We
here?
could
Because
save her.
this is like a beautiful hand if we could keep the whole hand. Because then we have the Tenacity too. Huh. I think I want to wait. I think I'm just going to give him the Oath and... oh, this hand is so good. I don't want to give him the Searing. Or the Saver.
No.
Mm,
Do we put minus counters? I mean, I hate doing that in the Jarl, but
yeah. Yeah, I think honestly we've already got a minus counter. Yeah, let's just give him boots and gloves. I think that's reasonable. We've already got a minus counter on something. And I
mhm,
don't think he's throwing a lot of mangles at us. Like he's just blocking. He's pitched a mangle on this turn too, so like we're not gonna see that last mangle for a while.
mhm.
I think we're gonna. Do we still want to use this? I think I want to wait. It's tempting. It's very tempting here, but I think I'm gonna wait. I think I just want to send that
We'll
six
wait it
command.
out.
Um, yeah, I think we're okay just to send the saver. Oh, we're not even. Actually, hang on, back
Undo.
up. Yeah, let's be a little tricky here. Let's send the hunt first, because we can go hunt into Searing Gaze, and if the Searing Gaze connects, then we can save her.
That makes sense.
I don't know if it's gonna connect, but we can try. There is a world where we actually just like hold a full card and hold the saver. If we can get this mark, we
Okay.
might actually just see if we can get this hit. This is a little bit of a gamble, but he's not particularly aggressive, so I think giving him a big hand is not
Yep.
terrible. Okay.
Gave us a
He
hit.
is marked. So now we have two choices. We can either send the saver now for 5 and take a couple of cards, or we can gamble. And I think I kind of want to gamble. I think I want to pass turn. This is a little risky, but I think I want to pass turn, give him 5 cards, and say, you figure out how to use 5 cards. And now we're going to look to come in where we're going to crack those loyalty beyond the graves, put a big damage turn down.
My guess is an Oakenold. If we haven't seen a block.
Yeah. I'm sort of guessing the same, but we can see. Because we also didn't give him a lot of things to block. We sent a 2 and then, 1 attack that he didn't do anything
Didn't care
with.
about.
So we'll see. We'll see what he does. We'll give him the chance.
Yep.
Taking a little bit of a risk.
There's
Does he have the fuse?
There's that Oakenold. He
does have
does
the
indeed.
fuse.
2 Pulse of Eyes and Lofts.
All right.
Okay. I mean, so we got a sync, but that feels bad.
It's actually okay. So, like I say, we took a little bit of a gamble. This isn't actually the worst punish. One of the things with Oakenold is because it doesn't it doesn't actually like take the cards from our deck in these fatiguing matchups. It's actually not terrible. So I think we're okay to just kind of we'll take this, sink the Saver Bloodshed, and save it for later.
Okay.
And then just sort of see what he leaves us with. We're holding 2 Draconics, so we're kind of guaranteed that we probably will get to keep our yeah, I
Smoke
think this is
out.
okay.
Okay. Smoke out and For the Drakai coming in. So
for the Drakai, I'll go first.
probably For the Drakai first.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all right. We get to still keep our hunts in. We've protected our fealty stack. We're definitely not.
Do we go
activating.
for the loyalties now?
Nah, like I say, we want to save it where we can set up a big hand here. We're just gonna play this Hunt's End, do a little bit of damage. We'll probably Tunic Bracers here if this first one hits, which I kind of assume it will. Just do a little bit.
Sure.
And then we're just right now he's getting low enough that we're just waiting for our moment.
Yeah. Well, we know we have 2 Pulse of Ice and Loves, so we got probably 1 in arsenal hanging out, and then 1 in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is true. So he does. We do know he has them. But at this point, we just mostly want to keep our fealty stack, so we can just make him play them out. And particularly if he's going to just block now, we can just like force the pulse out on something where he's not getting good value on it.
Let's see. Do we see it? Nope.
Nope. Oh, we'll be just happy to take a little bit of damage. So we get to just take our tunic, get our bracer. Send just a little bit more.
Just going for 2.
And now we are starting to get him in that. I told you that threshold where like he's at 10 life. He has to start really paying attention to his blocks.
CYB seen as well.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
Oh, CLF.
Channel Lake CNC.
That's okay. So we are again, like, because we're just kind of biding our time, we are perfectly happy to play something a little bit slow here. Although there is a real, so we don't have a Draconic in hand, so we're gonna have to crack a fealty on a rabble, which isn't great.
And that's gonna cost us 2 resources we'll need though. 1 to crack, 1 to play,
which is very unfortunate for us. I'm half tempted to give him the crown here just to see if we can dig. It's a little risky because that this is unfortunate timing on this. Because we can't. So like we can't both cover the CNC and keep our fealty stack. So I think we might have to. He is low enough too that I think we're okay to risk. 1, 2, so yeah, 3. We'll just give him the crown.
Could we? I mean, it. Okay.
What are you thinking?
Because if we crown bracers, block with Sworn Vengeance, we pitch 1 fealty to. Pitch 1 to fealty. Pitch another 1 to pursue.
So
potentially mark.
Yeah. So the question is, do we want to keep the tenacity? And I kind of do. Yeah, that's not terrible. Yeah, it just gives us a little bit of a life buffer. If we're gonna have to use the crown either way, still we can crown 1 of the rabbles and just see if we can draw a Draconic. Okay. Otherwise, we're gonna have to, because we'll pitch whatever we draw, and maybe we draw a yellow. Would be great.
Draconic.
Okay. Doesn't actually end up helping us too much here, but that's okay.
Now do we want the loyalty?
Definitely not. We're just gonna wait out the CLF.
Okay.
Actually, I kind of want to send. We have infinite fealties, and since we can't use that last card anyway, I think I don't mind actually just pitching the 2 cards and sending the pursue. It puts both a rabble and a blaze next to each other in our stack anyway, which is just going to be a really powerful turn later, and we can potentially set up that mark.
That makes sense. Yeah. Unforgiving.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So we know we got the mangle coming. We know we're losing something here. Question is, will be dominated. Yep.
I'll be honest. I don't know that I'm that worried about it here. The CLV or the CLF goes away here.
Yep.
we go to 2, but I don't actually think I'm that scared of this. Going to 2 is always a little scary, but now I think it's going to be the time that he's at 9. We're going to send that big hand. We have a scary hand, and we hope he takes our Tunic and not our Dragon Scalers.
Okay, let's
yeah, I think we say we're here for a good time, not a long time. We're all in.
I like it, Mara. I'm on board. Oh, he took the legs.
That's okay. Sad, but okay. All right, now we're in. Now we're going. Crack it. Crack them.
Let's get it.
Oh,
hunt to the ends of
right.
Earth.
Perfect.
So we got that. For the Drakai, March of Loyalty, Searing Gaze, Long Whisker Loyalty.
All right, so
and Tenacity.
First question is gonna be, do we want to try to open? So I actually think I'm gonna open on the Hunt to the End of Wraith here, because I want to be able to get the mark. I want to be able to get the Long Whisker, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we might be losing a tiny bit of value.
So blocking with Crown.
Okay. Yep. We're going to send our first sword. Because we want to make sure that this March of Loyalty has go again, so we really need to make sure we get a mark on one of these two.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we can Searing Gaze now.
Searing Gaze.
Unfortunately, we're probably not going to get much on the... we're not going to be able to get the extra swing on the Long Whisker, I think, because we don't have an extra react, which is a little sad, but that's okay.
Okay. So they Tunic didn't do anything. We're just going to still pass?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Flexors.
All right, that's okay. So yeah, we're gonna
Dagger 2.
Yeah, I think so. This is actually a little bit unfortunate that he has enough defenses to push through this, but I think we're gonna get a really big Tenacity.
Right, 1 card defending.
He's got 3 pieces of armor already defending.
4 cards defending. Yep. Long Whisker.
Yep. And we're gonna get all 3 modes.
Apply to this dagger?
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to get the extra swing because we don't have the go again.
Okay. There's the Flexors again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe not. Let's see. He has to pitch for it. No, not moving it. Marked.
Man, I wish he hadn't taken our boots. Because if we had our boots here, this would be really, really good.
The boots would be real gross. The boots would be real gross.
This is just like slightly unfortunate. 1,
2, 3, 4 cards defending.
So I might. So there's a little bit of a gamble here. We can send the March of Loyalty, and he has to block the March of Loyalty, or it gets go again.
That's a good idea.
It's a little bit of a gamble because he's probably still gonna block it out.
I still think it's the best call. This is just 6. He throws 1 down.
Yeah, I think we have to just because he's trying to hold his hand, and so I think we want to just say give us another card. This is a little unfortunate, but that's okay.
Well, either way, it's 2 cards. I mean,
it'll be a card and Tunic,
at least get
presumably.
Yeah, card and Tunic, or
I assume he's gonna get Tunic here. Or maybe he just really thinks he's going to close this game out and he doesn't block. If he doesn't block, we win this game. But I suspect he's going to block. And if he does, that's sad, but it's okay.
I always forget March of Loyalty. If you hit a marked target, gives it the go again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is he going to let it hit?
Oh, it gives it to us.
Oh, now we slam it. I think we
The
slam it now.
tenacity?
Yeah, give it to us. This is 6, I think. No, 7?
7.
7.
Here's Rampart. So pitching 1 for it. And then, or probably pitching a blue. I bet you we get Flexors and Rampart.
I think we're pretty happy with that turn. He's got a CYB. Oh, there's a Staunch. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll take it. That's fine. I think we are ecstatic with that turn.
Yeah. That wasn't so bad.
Oh, look, and he's nice enough to let us use this sink. Okay. Let's see. We put forward the Drakai in Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can just sink away the second for the Drakai.
Vengeance.
Proclaim. Oh, that's a little sad, but that's okay. Yeah, so we've now got him in this. We've got him kind of right where we want him. He's at 5, and we've got all of our little attack reactions. So we're just going to play the twist and turn.
Dagger?
Yep. And now we get to play the game where he has to try to block around all of our buffs when we may or may not have buffs.
Yep. Because I assume the line would be Obsidian here.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of the 2 reacts.
Proclaim.
We definitely don't care about the fealty, so it's just going to be like if he decides to block very heavily, we'll proclaim. There's like whatever we can do to push the most damage here.
Yeah. Either way, it's this, and this are coming out.
Yeah.
I assume.
There is a world where we don't send the Chain Ender, but we probably will.
Okay.
So we're 4. I think I'm okay just to give the affirm here. This takes us to 8.
Okay.
This just says give us another defense reaction right now.
Mm-hmm. Pulse of Azenloft.
That's fine with us.
Okay, we got a Frostbite.
We have Tunic. We can pull Tunic in response. So pull Tunic in response to the Frostbite.
I gotta pay for it now. Hold on, wait.
Huh?
Yeah, we did it in response to. Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Crap. I gotta see if he. I should have done. What it is. Let me see. We'll refer to the start because the undo won't let me do it before the turn. Tunic. Hold on. That's right. Hold on, wait. So it is twist and turn. This. Okay.
Yeah, because this is exactly why we have that Tunic. Is we want to just be able to pull it.
Firm loyalty. Okay. Yeah. And there we go. That's what I wanted to do.
That's what we wanted to do. Perfect. And we're just happy to give that. He's at 5. We can just take him to 1.
Ooh.
The sink is a little sad, but that's all right.
Yeah. I assume we're Saver, Obsidian, Hunts, Obsidian,
Lugwhisper. Debating if I want to play the Saver. Because I want to make sure we can close. We can probably, I feel like with this many reacts, we can probably close. So Saver on Dagger would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can go to 12 on a single Dagger. That's not
I think so.
Too bad.
4, 5, plus another 4, 9, 10. 1 here, plus 2 more, 4 more. I don't think he can block. I think this.
Yeah. I think, and plus we can actually get the second attack. We can get the third attack on the Saver or on the Long Whisker, and then pitch the sink to Bracers. Oh, I guess Bracers wouldn't hit, so it wouldn't really matter. We might. Yeah, I think this should close this game out.
I don't think, unless he has all D reacts like sinks, but I think he's all out of like that kind of stuff.
I think
1 to 3 sinks, 1 shelter. Well, he could have some count your blessings.
Yeah.
He's pitching something away for the Rampart. Yeah, he doesn't want that.
He does have CYBs still left, so it's possible he has a CYB that pulls him out of this. I kind of want to just get rid of the sink.
Got
there
the young and old.
there is a world where so let's play the Hunt's End and just see what he does. If he has the CYB, I might try to arsenal the Long Whisker and set up a 5 card and see if we can get rid of this sink.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what he does.
Did it freeze on me? Let's see. No, it's still on him. Let me see. Yep.
No, he's thinking. Yeah. See, this is exactly what I talk about this end game in Fang, where it is just nearly impossible to try and block everything out. Did we say we think he's out of D-Reacts?
Yeah.
He's probably not, right?
It's tough.
How many D-Reacts does he have left?
He got 3 sinks, 2 shelters from the storm there, 3 shelters from the storm there, staunch done. I mean, 1, 2, he still has he has 2 count your blessings left.
Yeah, he does the 2 CYBs. I think the CYB is his only real out at this point. It's what, 1 red and 1 yellow left?
Well, I think that's the case. 2
red,
yellows here, 2 reds
2
here.
reds,
Yeah, so 1 red and yellow.
Okay, yeah, he probably has
Hunt's End. My guess is one of them in hand. He's
I feel like if he's pitching for pitching for that, he's almost guaranteed to have it.
Yeah.
He wants to undo. That's fine.
Yeah, no problem.
Unless he's trying to undo around our Hunt's End.
I can remember a chat. Let's see. I mean, God knows. Pay 2, or you gain, or you lose and can't gain. Go again.
So you know,
we'd have to pay 3, but we'd have to pay 1 to do anything because we got the frostbite.
Let's see.
Do we just not pay and then pay 1 for the Hunt's End?
Yeah, actually, this works out great
because we got to deal with that frostbite.
Yeah, no, this works out perfect. This gets we're gonna play the Hunt's End. We get to pitch this. This works out perfectly. Actually, this is actually kind of in our benefit. Yeah. So we can pitch the sink below. So we get that out of our hand. We can still play the Hunt's End, and then we get to arsenal the Long Whisker, or we can just play the Long Whisker and kill him. Yeah, this actually works out perfectly. Depending. No, don't play it yet. Don't play it yet. Don't play it yet. Don't play it. We don't actually.
Staunch response.
Yeah. Could you not hear me?
I still. Oh no! Yeah, no, you broke up. We still got 1 over.
Oh, do we still? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I was gonna say wait for him to play his,
we still get 1.
Okay, we still got there. Good. Yeah, because if he played the CYB there, you can just arsenal the Hunt's End, and then we come back at him with a 5 card hand. But still, we get the 1. Good game, and there we go. we beat full Giga Fatigue CYB.
Awesome.
And that was perfect. That was like a textbook how to play into Fatigue.
No, that was good. No, that was good. That was good. Mara, I appreciate it. I mean, I learned a lot. I'm hoping the people that kind of watch it also learn a lot. I know I took a lot of your time, but if you want to give any plugs as to where folks can find you and all the, we'll make sure we get all the good links and everything like that in there too. But again, I do want to say thank you so much for coming out and, showing off your Fang deck. It is really cool and a lot of fun. And I hope some people, take it for a fun drive here.
Yeah, no, I had an absolute blast. I love coming and hanging out and doing all this stuff. If you ever want to support me, I have a Patreon where I put out a lot of fab content. I just put out a 45-page Vinsat primer about 2 or 3 days ago. We've got a Patreon Discord where I've been doing a lot of work on both my Vinsat deck and for working on this Fang deck. I do my own line of custom tokens that are on Etsy. It's at Blackwing Studio on Etsy. The Patreon is also at Blackwing Studio. You can find me on Bluesky. You can find me on Discord. I am pretty active on everything and always happy to chat fab with just about anybody.
Awesome, awesome. But it was great. Thank you very much. Again, we will have all of Mara's links and all that good stuff in the show description. So please, if you stuck around, if this looks good, go say hi, support Mara, all that good stuff. But other than that, thanks everybody for sticking with me again. Mara, thank you so much, and
Awesome. Thank you so
we'll
much.
catch people next time. So
Yeah. Take care.
okay, take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye.